Hello, welcome to a safeagsystems webinar. My name is Abigail Hickman. Today we are going to look at the webinar using the app for workers. So in this webinar we will focus entirely on the app and the process of gaining access to it, logging in and using it from the perspective of a worker whose business utilises safeagsystems to manage safety. This webinar also applies to management, as all the functions that are possible for workers are also possible for management. So we'll start by looking at the login process. So as a worker, when you are added to someone's subscription or added as a user into their safety management system, you will receive an email asking you to register to use safeagsystems. So the email on the left-hand side here is what you would receive with a button on it, which says click register now. When you click on that button, you will then go to this screen, which gives you two options. One, to sign up, or two, to log in. Now, if you have been a user of safeagsystems in the past, possibly at a different employer's business, then you will already have a login and you should click the login option. If you have not used safeagsystems prior, then you should click the sign up option to create a login for yourself. If you click the sign up option, you will then get this screen on the right-hand side, which says create login account. Fill in the fields as prompted and press continue. That then creates you a login. As soon as you have pressed continue, you will then get this screen on the left-hand side, which says check your emails to log in. You need to verify your email after you have put in your credentials before you will have access to the safeagsystems software for your business. So at this screen, you will need to go back to your emails, open the email, which is the verification email, and press the verify your email button. The screen on the right-hand side here is the email that you will receive asking you to verify your email. So for this email, you simply click the verify your email button, and that will then give you access into safeagsystems. Now, obviously, to access safeagsystems, you need to, on the app, you need to download the app. So first of all, you need to do some checking of your phone to make sure that you are ready to download the app and to use it. If you do these checks, you will get a better experience when utilizing the app. So the first step is to go into your settings icon. Now, if you are using an iPhone or an iPad, the settings icon will look like this icon here at the top. If you are using an Android, then the icon will probably look something like this. They can vary a little bit, but it will be something like this. Go into the settings and then navigate, if you're using an iPhone, to General and then Software Update. And if you're using an Android, to Settings and then Software. You're checking here to make sure that the operating system on your phone or digital device is up to date. Old operating systems can impact the experience on the phone. So if you have an update pending or an update option, then you should update your phone before you proceed. So assuming your system is now your operating system is now up to date, we will move on now to your next step. Safeagsystems app does use the internet for some functions, and the best browser to access safeagsystems is definitely Chrome. Samsung phones will default to Samsung Internet, and this is not compatible with the safeagsystems app. iPhones will default to Safari, that can also be used, but we certainly recommend the use of Chrome. To download Chrome, you should go from an iPhone to the App Store, and if you're using an Android, to Google Play. These are the icons which show you what they look like on your phone. Search on the safeagsystems app and download. Search on Chrome and download Google Chrome. Okay, so once you have downloaded Google Chrome, then set it as your preferred web browser. So to do this, you go into the settings on your phone. You scroll down through the apps until you find Chrome. And then on iPhone, you will click on the default browser app and set it to Chrome. And in Android, you click on browser app and again set it to Chrome. While you're in there, you should also set to allow pop-ups. So those simple settings on your phone will greatly improve the experience that you have when utilizing the safeagsystems app. Okay, so you're now ready to download the app. So once again, if you're on an iPhone, you need to access the App Store. And if you're on an Android, you should access Google Play. Search on safeagsystems and download. When you first open safeagsystems, you will be prompted to accept certain things. So follow the prompts and accept them. The following things should be set. So locations, so while using, camera should be on, notifications should be on, and mobile data should be on. So I'll demonstrate this when I flip over to my app as to how to do it. So this is the login process for the safeagsystems app. When you open the app, you will get this screen. It'll say log in or scan QR code. There are 4 options to log in to the app. You can log in with a username and password. You can log in using Google or Microsoft or Apple. If you choose to log in with Google, Microsoft or Apple, then you will need to use those credentials that you have set up with those particular providers. These cannot be accessed by safeagsystems. So if you have issues logging in, you will need to contact either Google, Microsoft or Apple, whichever one you're using, to verify your login information. If using your login username and password, then we can certainly support you with that process. If you choose that top option, log in with username and password, you will then get this screen, which is the login screen. Your username will generally be your email and your password will be whatever you've set it to. Okay, so we're now logged in and we'll go on to the app and have a look at the home screen. So this is the home screen that you will get when you are set with worker access in the safeagsystems software. So each of these items is interactive, where you can click on them and drill deeper into the business's safety system. Across the bottom are some quick access links where you can easily access critical parts of the safety system. On the far right-hand side is the emergency management icon. That is this one here on the bottom right. If we click on that, this gives us access into the emergency page. We'll cover these in more detail a little later in the webinar. The second icon from the bottom, which looks like an apostrophe in a triangle, gives us access to reporting. In here, we can report new hazards, report a near miss or incident, and create a task. The third icon over, which looks like the little plus sign, gives you immediate access to adding a new task into your system. The icon that looks like 3 little people is where you can set yourself at work or not at work. This is just a simple toggle which shows if you are not at work or if you are at work. When you're toggled on as at work, you are shown in the list and your employer can see you on the map. This option means that whenever you open the app, your location will be updated on the map. This is important from a safety perspective so that your employer can ensure that you are safe. When you leave work, you should toggle yourself not at work, and you are no longer viewable to your employer. The icon on the far left-hand side is a QR code scanner. We will look at this in more detail later, but this gives you the option to scan a barcode on a machine, for instance, and gain immediate access to that machine's information. So let's go back to the home screen. So at the top, you have a notice board. The notice board is essentially a chat site, a place where you can paste messages to your colleagues and employer that relate to the activities that you are undertaking in the business. This is a location where you can put in notes. For instance, if you've observed something that people should be aware of, you can put a message on here so that everyone in the business can get a notification to say that there is something there that they should be aware of. This is also where emergencies are posted, and alerts will also be sent if an emergency is raised. Again, we'll cover this in a little bit more detail in the webinar. Be aware that what you type on the notice board, you cannot delete. So this is not a place for skylarking and jokes. This is an area where you need to create messages which relate to your work and are important information for people within your business. We'll now look at Task Manager. Task Manager is essentially a jobs list. This is where you can manage the tasks that you have been set within your business. At the top is a listing for My Tasks. These are tasks that we've been assigned to you to be completed. These tasks may be assigned by your employer, by somebody else, or by you to be completed. You'll notice that on that task, you've got a little red button with an icon, which is telling you that you have a task that is outstanding. When you open the task, you have the option to take action. The task may have images attached. It may have documents attached. It may have files and external links attached. More information may be provided. The due date will be provided and the priority and who it was created by. In this case, you created it. Jane created it. Down here, we have the option to update where it's at. So I can mark this as in progress, and it now looks like it's been started. I can also add comments. So now that I've marked it as in progress, I can say that I have partially repaired the gate. Now be aware that all of these fields are activated to voice to text. So if you do not wish to type in these fields, you can simply press this icon down here, which will enable you to speak to the phone and it'll type what you say automatically. So I'm now, if I wanted to, I could also take a photo using that link. So it now shows as in progress. And if I click on the activity, it shows what I've done and the note I've added. Up here in the three-dot menu, I have the option to edit the task. So if I wish to add more information or upload photos, I can. I can also change who it's assigned to or include multiple assignees on the task if more than myself is completing the work. The task can be positioned on the map. And I can zoom in the map by using my two fingers to zoom in. Under here, you can add documents. So if you need to attach something to it, as in a policy, a procedure, or a checklist from within your safety system, you can. External links can also be added, for instance, YouTube videos, and you can upload a file. Now note this, it's not accepting me to save it. That is because the due date has already been, so I need to update when it's due. So now that I'm working on it and I know that I need to do some additional work to it tomorrow, I will say that I'm going to complete it by tomorrow. And click Save. So we'll now come out of this task and go back to our task home screen, where we've next got tasks for anyone. Now, tasks for anyone, the tasks that are being created with no assignee, but with an assignee of anyone. So that means that anybody within the business can pick up these tasks. This is essentially a bucket of jobs that needs to be done, but doesn't matter who does them. Unassigned tasks are tasks which have been created but haven't been assigned to an individual to complete. And then finally, tasks created by me are tasks that you have created and will be shown in here. So you have created this task here, but because you haven't assigned it to anyone, it's coming up as an unassigned task under here. As a worker, you can only see your own tasks. You can't see tasks which have been created by others and assigned to other individuals within your business. If you want to create a task, then you need to click the plus button down here in the middle of your screen at the bottom, and you can now create a new task and click Save. As I demonstrated earlier, you can link it to a position on the map. You can add documents or external links and photos if required. You can assign it to whoever it needs to be assigned to, including your manager in the business, and provide a description and exactly what the task is. So we'll now come out of the task manager and move on to inventory. We'll skip my details for now and come back to that later. So inventory is where all the machinery, structures, tools, and chemicals are listed in your business and where you can access them to update information. Now, one way to access inventory is to click on the inventory, click on machinery, and then choose from the list of machinery the machine that you are working on to update its details. If the machine has been tagged out, it'll come up with a note to say that this machine is tagged out and you must not operate it and must speak to your work health and safety administrator. So this particular machine should have no work undertaken on it until you have spoken to a manager. If the machine has its engine hours listed as its maintenance requirement, it will come up and ask you to log the hours that it currently is reading. So to do this, you press OK, enter the new odometer reading off of the machine, or hours reading if it's logging hours, and click Save. Now, from this field, you can also add in maintenance. You can view a risk assessment. You can complete checklists and accept procedures. Now, I'll now demonstrate accessing a machine using the QR code. So to access the QR code reader, we use this button in the bottom left-hand corner. We click the button and scan the QR code. Once again, it will come up and ask us to update the engine hours. Now, if you have already done this today, you can press cancel and skip that step. So the options in here is to view the machine details. And on here, you can see it's not tagged out. Add maintenance. So this is a simple fact of putting in what you've done. The maintenance type. And a description. Dropped oil and replaced. The maintenance has been completed today, and we'll say the next time that maintenance is due is in 3 months' time. And finally, who did it? Now, if you didn't do it, if this was done by a service technician, you could put in their name, but still be recording the information done. You also have the option up here of adding a photo. So if the maintenance was done by a contractor or a maintenance company, you could upload a copy of the invoice rather than filling in a complete description of what was done. So once you have the details added, click Save, and that maintenance log is attached. Below the Add Maintenance, you've got the maintenance log. And under here, you can view all the maintenance that's been done to that particular machine. This is helpful if you're not sure if maintenance is required. You can go back and check what maintenance has been done prior to determine if you should be doing something to it before you operate it. Risk assessments is a formal process of reviewing a machine or an area to ensure it is safe. So it is a simple step-by-step process where you identify hazards, determine the risks that they present, and then implement controls to control those hazards to ensure they do not cause harm. A risk assessment can be attached to a machine or maybe a standalone risk assessment not attached to a particular inventory item. In this particular case, there are 2 risk assessments on this machine, which you can now go and view to see what is required. So you can view the assessment and scroll through it to see if there's any particular controls that have been put in place that you should be aware of. You may be asked by your employer to do a risk assessment, in which case, if one already exists, you can review it. If one didn't exist, you could undertake one. Checklists can be very helpful on machinery for doing things like pre-operational checks or checks that might relate to maintenance, etc. The process of completing a checklist is simply to click on the checklist and press Start. You can then walk through that checklist, completing it as prompted. If you do not finish the checklist at the time, you can press Save and Close and come back to it later. Procedures is a document which describes the safe operating of machinery or equipment. These should be reviewed before you operate a machine. To review a procedure, you simply click on the button, read through it, and press Accept. If you have any comments relating to it, you can add them here and then click Submit. You can also add a task relating to a machinery item or inventory item. That will automatically populate the beginning of the task with the name of the inventory item that it relates to. And then you can just add additional information relating to what the task should be. So the process for completing other inventory items is similar, as in structures and tools. The list of items is smaller, And you'll notice here that checklists and procedures are greyed out. That is because no checklist or procedure has been attached to that particular item to be completed. Chemicals are slightly different in the information that is provided. Once again, no checklists or procedures have been attached to this in particular chemical, but you can view the details associated with it by opening it up. Under here, you can view the PPE that should be used, the hazard information, what poison schedule it comes from, and how much is currently on hand. If you are using the chemical, or if you have purchased some and are adding it to the list, then you use the usage and purchase adjustment. You choose the type that relates to what you're doing. If you're making a purchase, say that you've purchased 50 litres on that day, fill in the other information if it relates, and click Save. Under the uses and purchase log, you have a full list of all the activity that's happened on that particular chemical. And the top one is the purchase that you just made. And as with the machine, you can also add a task relating to a chemical. I've already touched on risk assessments. Your employer may require you to undertake risk assessments. Risk assessments do take some time to do, and they're quite a detailed look in an area or a machine relating to identifying hazards and risks. If you're required to do this, you will need to speak to your employer about what their requirements are. I demonstrated earlier the process for completing a checklist on an inventory item. The process for completing a checklist from your app is much the same. These are simply checklists, all the checklists that are published by your employer that you may need to do. If you are required to complete these, you simply open the checklist that you are required to complete, click Start, and complete it as prompted. If you don't finish it at the time, click Save and Close, and it will be there ready for next time. So if you click on My In Progress Checklists, you'll now see that the tractor checklist that we commenced earlier and didn't finish, and the toolbox talks that we just commenced are here waiting for you to resume. Simply click on them again and click Next, and you have now resumed the checklist. You also have access to policies and procedures. Your employer can assign you policies and procedures to read and accept. On my app, you'll see that I've got a red button with a number 4 next to the policies and a red dot next to the procedures with a number 1. Sorry, it's a dot, not a button. If I open those policies, you'll see that under Action Required are the 4 policies that I have been assigned to read and accept. To read them, I open the policy, click Proceed, read the policy, and then click Accept. I tick that I have read and understood the policy, add any comments if required, and click Submit. That process is the same for procedures. If you've been assigned an induction, you will find inductions in here. Under My Inductions are 4 options. Not started. So these are inductions that have been signed to you but not started. Resume if you've had an induction partially completed but you haven't finished it. To be signed if you've finished an induction but you haven't signed it. And finally, My Completed Inductions, which is a list of all inductions which you have completed and signed off. Inductions is a formal way where employers train their employees in the requirements of their business. To access your inductions, you click on the Inductions tab, and it will open up 2 additional tabs, My Inductions or Assign Inductions. Well, click into My Inductions, which relate to you. Under here, you have 4 options. Not started, which are inductions which you have been assigned but not yet commenced. Resume, which are inductions which you have started to complete but haven't finished. To be signed, which are inductions you have finished but haven't signed off. And finally, My Completed Inductions, which are inductions which you have commenced, completed, signed, and are now there, saved for you to review if you need. To complete an induction, we click on Not Started, open the induction and follow the tabs. Inductions are broken up into categories. So we click on a category, it takes us into an induction and it prompts us to how they work. So inductions may have blue icons. If they do, those documents must be opened and read before you will be able to proceed through the induction. Inductions are made up of a series of statements which you need to agree or disagree to. If you disagree with a statement, you will not be able to finish it. You will need to speak to your employer and resolve the disagreement before you can complete the induction. To commence the induction, we click Start, and you'll see on this particular induction that there is a document attached to this statement. Because I haven't opened the document, therefore the disagree and agree button have been greyed out and I cannot click them. So I will open the document by clicking on the blue document, which will open it to be read. In this case, it's a work health and safety policy. I read, accept, tick that I have read and understood the policy, add any comments required and click submit and finish. That then takes me back to my induction statement where I can click agree. I now move on to the next statement, which again has a link attached. So until I open the link, I cannot complete the induction. I can now watch the video, click back, and now agree with the statement. That's now finished all the statements in that category, so I'm brought back to the category screen where I need to click on the next category. If I left the induction before finishing at this particular point in time, I would now no longer have inductions in Not Started because I have already commenced that induction. But if I click on the Resume Inductions, my induction which I've commenced earlier will now be saved here, ready for me to continue with. I open the induction and it takes me back to where I left off. I can now click on the next category, open the attachment, view it, and I can now agree. So I'm now taken through to complete my induction by signing it off. Now, if I do not sign the induction off and I leave the induction, my induction will now no longer be in Resume. It is now recognised that I've finished the induction, but I haven't signed it. So I'll now find it in my to be signed inductions. I open the induction, sign it, and click Complete Induction. So that induction is now sent to my employer or inductor for them to sign that they have recognised that you have completed your induction. The induction is now saved under My Completed Inductions for you to view if required. You can click on the induction to read through the statements that you accepted. Now, there may be occasions when you need to assign an induction to an individual. This will be a visitor. You cannot assign inductions to your fellow work colleagues. But if a visitor comes to your farm and you are required to complete an induction with them, you can click Induction, open the visitor induction, and select from the inductions that are listed. Your employer may have a visitor induction that is required to be done when someone comes to your farm. In this case, you'll probably select your supervisor or yourself as the inductor, put in the name of the person being inducted and their email and click Begin. This will now take the individual through the induction. but you will have to work with that individual as they go through it. This is the same induction that we commenced earlier. Once again, they will need to open any attachments and view them before they can proceed through the induction. At the end of the induction, you can add in the information relating to who was inducted, being the inductee. Now, you have the option of adding multiple inductees, so you can induct a group of visitors all at one time. Put in the email, and get them to sign. As you can see, it's listed the signature there. You can now go back up and add in another one. And click Add Signature. When you have added all the visitors, simply complete induction, and that is saved in the inductions logs of your employer. Be aware that visitor inductions can also be done through the QR code, not from your phone, but from theirs. This is a process which is explained in the supervisors and owners webinar. It is important to be aware of the hazards on your property. And from the safeagsystems app, you have access to the hazards map. If you have multiple locations, then you will have to choose from the locations list, and you can now open up the list of hazards as recorded on your farm map. You can also show the hazards on a map by simply clicking that option. This is an interactive map where you can zoom in to view where the hazards are, and if you click on the hazard, it'll tell you what it is. You can also add hazards or other items onto the map by clicking the Add Item button in the left-hand corner. Click on the button, and you can now add either a hazard, an item, or something that's not on the map but needs to be added to the hazard list. If you were to add a hazard, you click Hazard, click on the map where the hazard is, and click Save. That brings up a field where you can fill in the details that relate to the hazard. Once again, you can use voice to text to speed up this process. It has already been positioned. You can leave it as a warning icon, but you do have the option to change that if you wish. You can change the color. And because you're adding it, it has linked it to your name. If it needs a higher priority, it will default to medium, but you can set it to high. And if it is a hazard that will be here for a period of time and then no longer exist, you can set an end date. You can add a photo and finally click Save. That is now saved as a hazard in the system for everyone to see. The same process can be used to add items on the map, which may not be hazards, but are items of interest on the property. You also have a quick access button in your bottom banner with the reports function here, which is the second from the right, which gives you easy access to add a hazard quickly instead of having to navigate onto the map. If you push the reports function, it brings up three options: a new hazard, a near-miss incident report, or a new task. So you simply click on New Hazard and it will work just much the same as the hazard maps, where you select the map and it will then take you onto the map where you can add the hazard. Because I've demonstrated that already, we will go out of that and go back into the reports function, and I'll touch on the other things. So a near miss and incident report is a report that should be raised if you have any form of accident or incident. A near miss is where an incident has occurred, but it hasn't resulted in any form of injury or loss. However, it could have. An incident is where some form of injury or loss has occurred. An incident or near miss should be raised for anything that happens on farm, any accident or incident that has it on farm. It is a very important way of tracking incidents that are happening or near misses that are occurring, so that you can get a picture for whether they are happening regularly or more often, or whether it's a one-off thing. Irrespective of whether it's one-off or frequent, it should be investigated to make sure that controls are put in place to avoid it happening again. Raising a near miss and incident report is very simple. Click on the near miss and incident report and put in the title of what occurred. We'll put in slipped in workshop. The date will automatically populate and the time, but you can change it if you need. The exact location where it occurred. So where we change oil. So then a description of what happened. Now, all of these fields, again, are voice activated, so you can use the voice activation button down here. So all of these fields are voice activated, so you can use the voice activation button down here if you want to just record what you want written in that field. You then should describe the immediate action that was taken. So I can put up here, area was slippery after a recent oil change due to an oil spill. Sand put over oil spill, no injury occurred. Sand put over oil spill, no injury sustained. I leave it as Jane, who I'm logged in as the reporter. And if there was other people involved, I can add them here by clicking the add individual icon and then selecting who else was present. Is the person injured? No. You can add photos of the area if you wish, and you can add witnesses if there are any. Once you've filled in the details, click Save Report, and your near miss and incident report is complete. Now, that report will be sent to your business administrators for further investigation to determine if further action should be taken to avoid this sort of incident occurring again. The final quick access that you have through the report function is to add a new task. So we've been through this already. However, it's just a simple fact of clicking new task and you add it through there. That is exactly the same function as you get through by clicking the little plus icon at the bottom, which gives you the same access into adding a new task. So below hazard maps, we have inspections. Now, inspections are a very easy way of being prompted to walk around an area and identify any hazards or issues that might need to be resolved. If you're not sure what you should do in a certain area, inspections can be very useful for prompting you for what you should do. Your employer may do these themselves, or they may require the workers to do them for them. They are location specific, so if you've got multiple locations in your business, you'll have to select the location you're doing it on, and then either view a report that's already been done, or start a new inspection. If I do an inspection on people's safety, it'll take me into workers, click start, and then a series of statements will come up with a recommendation of what should be occurring in that area. All workers are suitably inducted to the workplace activities, appropriate machines, tools, equipment, and structures. If this is the case, then you would click agree, etc. Now, this area of the safeagsystems app and desktop is currently under change. We are moving inspections into checklists. So those inspections are all in the checklists template library and can be utilised from checklists. We envisage that this change will be complete at some stage early to mid 2023. If you are already utilising inspections through the app, through the inspections tab, you can continue to do so. And when that change takes place, your records will be transitioned. However, if you haven't used inspections prior, we would recommend that you do it through the checklists function. The final tab on this list on our home screen is the visitor register. This gives the option to sign in and out visitors. If you need to do this, you simply click on the sign in, put in the name of the visitor that is coming, put in their phone number, the reason for visit, and get them to sign. Once again, the visitor log can be accessed by the visitor through the QR code if the farm has a QR code printed for that visitor to access. Again, this will be covered in the webinar for owners and managers, supervisors. Now, the safeagsystems app will work when you are offline. So if you have poor connectivity or you have no connectivity, specifically no connectivity, it will automatically go into an offline mode and enable you to utilise the system even though you have no connection. So there are a couple of areas that you won't be able to use offline, specifically maps. So the hazard map won't show up. And if you are trying to access through the emergency page screen, although you will be able to view the information, you won't be able to ring out. If you raise an alert from the emergency page, the alert won't be received by other people in the business because you do not have connectivity. However, if you wish to conduct a risk assessment, manage your tasks, complete checklists, log maintenance on machines, view policies and procedures, all of those things will work, no different to if you are online. The notice board will not work, obviously, because that is an interactive system which requires connectivity for you to be able to post to everybody. If you have poor connectivity, i.e. you're in an area where the connectivity drops in and out, there may be times when you have issues with pages taking a long time to load. We would recommend, if this is the case, that you actually put your phone into airplane mode. So you go, you take out the connectivity, so you're no longer connected. You then undertake the task you need to do on the app and then take yourself off airplane mode so that you're back with connectivity. This is the quickest way at the moment to resolve any issues that might relate to connectivity which is very poor or sporadic. Okay, so the final thing we'll look at is the My Details tab, which we skipped over earlier. Under the My Details, you have a list of all your inductions, training, checklist logs, policy logs, and procedure logs, which you have completed. You can click into these if you wish to look at them. In the far top corner, you'll see a cogwheel. The cogwheel gives you access into the system to make changes to your account. For instance, if you need to view your details, you can click on user details, and in here you have the option to edit them. So you can add in your postal address, your physical address, etc., and click save. That will update your details in the system. Data management relates to managing the data that you are creating on your phone or is created in the safeagsystems software for your business. There may be times when you're working offline in the app, and if you're doing this, when you come back into line, it will automatically upload that information when you open the app. However, if you wish to force it, you can come under data management and click upload offline data, and it will then go ahead and update it. If you're having issues with the data, you can come in here and refresh the device data to reset it. You also have a help and resources tab. Under here, you can undertake a guided tour. You can access our help center where you can gain information from different articles relating to how to use the system. Look at our product updates and what has recently been changed. You can access useful links and also access our blog. Under here also tells you what version of the app that you are using and also what version of the device what operating system is currently operating on your device. You can also check for a new version under here if you need to check if you need to update your safeagsystems software. This is also where you would change your password. Switch accounts, which is what you would do if there is more than one business related to your login. In this particular case, I only have one. And finally, log out. Generally, you will not log out. You'll simply minimize your app and go about your business. If you do need to log out, however, this is where you would do it. We hope you found this webinar useful. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to give us a call on 08 8490 0939 or alternatively reach out via email at help@safeagsystems.com. In the meantime, keep safe and keep farming.